Hi, these comments are for DC. This is Michael from BetterTOEFLScores.com, and I'm getting ready to listen to a speaking practice test you sent me yesterday. So during this particular video, I'm going to give you some comments in both what I call delivery, language use, and topic development so you can understand any areas of improvement that you need in order to score higher on the speaking section. So here's the actual speaking rubrics here, and then let's get started. Here is the practice test you sent me, and this is my free TOEFL speaking evaluation service. And if you're interested in any of my services, I have two kinds of things that you can do. I have self-study online courses that you can purchase. And I also have one-to-one TOEFL private lessons where we can meet by Zoom and we can practice together. You have those two options. If you're interested in learning more about my services, you can meet me during my Zoom office hours on Mondays and Tuesdays from 12 to 12:50 p.m. Pacific Standard Time in the United States. That's GMT minus 8. Okay? So let's get started. Here we go.
I would prefer to study by myself rather than with a group. The first reason is that I get to control my own schedule. So if I want to study at midnight or and at a time that is difficult for fellow students to study with me, it is easier if I do so by myself.
Okay, now the one thing with delivery is you need to speak loudly, louder than what you're doing, but you need to vary your tone more than you're doing. I think that's a pretty big issue.
The second reason is that I don't waste my time with topics that I don't find
I would say, secondly, I also prefer individual study because it's more efficient. So you need a little bit better transition as you move from the first reason to the second reason. Again, something simple. Secondly, I also prefer individual study because it's more efficient or it's faster, right? So you mentioned the word individual study because that connects back to the purpose of the speaking task, which is telling me which preference you like and why.
difficult. So for instance, when I was studying for college tests, I had a lot of difficulties with anatomy, but I had a easy
With college tests, let me go back to what you just said there.
test. I had a lot of difficulties with anatomy, but I had an easier time with physiology. So I could focus and
Now we're getting somewhere. You're still not elaborating, right? You're not getting this area here. It's a generally well developed and coherent, usually lacks elaboration or specificity. You did mention anatomy and physiology, and when you do your individual study, you feel you do better with that, but why is that? So you have to give something specific. Did you, in one of those classes, did you need to learn the different muscles of the body or the different bones or the names of all the organs, or what were some challenging areas about those two courses, and why do you think individual study was the best method to help you master the concepts in those areas? So you're not quite elaborating like you need
double
to.
down on anatomy studies.
Yeah, I mean, if I described your speaking practice test here, it's kind of like you're talking to me during a funeral. Really. Very solemn, low key, low volume, with no emotion whatsoever in your voice at all. It's like you're speaking at a funeral, right? So you got to animate. You need to animate yourself a little bit more. So when I look at the rubrics here, I definitely think that you have some good speaking skills in terms of being fluent, but you have some difficulties with your intonation, definitely. I think pacing, you're speaking too slowly. I think the speaking rate's not, or not the speaking rate, but ETS's speech rater will grade you lower because of your speaking rate, and I think because of your tone. The other one is You have, I'm going to say, limited in the range of your grammar and your vocabulary. You didn't use a lot of very precise or specific words, so you need to improve both your grammar and your vocabulary. And then with your topic development, if you look at this one area in the three, the development is somewhat limited, usually lacks elaboration or specificity. So I think you can improve in those areas. So I'm going to put your score right now at 22 to 23 points out of 30 on this practice test.